Hello everybody, I'm Ghostly Sloth, and recently a YouTube short inspired me to get back into digital art. So this line art I'm working on, it's looking a little sketch, pun unintended. Just trust the process, I guess. I used a couple tutorials to make this drawing, and I linked them down in the description, so feel free to grab your supplies and draw with me. Recently, I've been dabbling in animations and making cutesy little digital art, but it's been a while since I've tried semi-realistic character drawing, and it's been an even longer while since I've tried it digitally. In case you're curious, I'm using a drawing program called Procreate, and I'm drawing on an iPad with an Apple Pencil. I just took a picture of the sketch and uploading it into Procreate so I can create the official line art. This is one of the reasons I fell in love with digital art. It's so much easier to fix mistakes in the line art, make adjustments, and add more detail. I added the time-lapse video in the corner for those who just want to watch that, and I included some drawing footage for those more interested in the tools and layers I used. I'm currently working on a layer that I placed over the sketch. I traced the original sketch, and now I'm just making adjustments to the line art. Eventually, I added another layer on top of that and created another line art because the original one, the lines just were hard to clean up. So the idea of the original YouTube short is to create a fairy OC based on your appearance. And I'll link both mine and the original short in the description if you're interested. So if you pay close attention, you'll learn a couple things about me, like how I'm a basic. Since my fairy had to be evil, I drew inspiration from BB's Animal Farm music video. I would insert a reference photo, but I'm worried about copyright, so I'm just gonna leave a link to the music video in the description instead. I also had to give her a pet, a hat, some butterfly wings, a mushroom dress, and a sword. I don't think I incorporated everything as gracefully as I wanted, but I feel okay with what I've made. This next layer I learned to use is called a clipping layer. It helps keep the coloring inside the silhouette you make. This layer and all the other layers go under the line art, and all the other color, shadow, highlight layers, they clip to this mask. I goofed and spent extra time erasing outside the lines when in the very next scene I show how I can just easily bucket fill sections I select. Well, at least I had fun erasing those lines, so was it really a loss? In this next stretch of time-lapse, you get to see how many times I redid the face rendering. I really struggled with this, but the tutorials I linked below were really helpful. It's just a matter of needing to practice more, and hopefully I can develop a better technique by creating more works. I also ended up toning the colors down so the work would feel more unified and easier on the eyes. This technique I learned from Oneul. So you just pick a base color, add a layer on top, and place all the colors you plan to use, lower the opacity of that layer, and those become the colors that you'll use. This next technique I also learned from Oneul, but you just airbrush over the entire face to soften any harsh lines. Then you go back in and redraw the line art. It ended up making a cool effect on the eyes because I had colored the line art originally inside the face to be warmer, and I accidentally redrew my line art outside of the original line art, but it ended up making a cool inner red lining, so I kept it. So for this one project, I had to study a bunch of videos to figure out layers and what to put on each one. I learned that everyone uses different techniques, and I actually ended up mixing techniques to find my own fit in terms of layers. And actually, I went a little crazy with the layers toward the end. I made one for each section I colored, and it's a good thing I didn't have to refer back to any of the layers because I think I had them all mixed up by then. Not just with rendering the face, but I also struggled with coloring everything else. This hair, for example, I literally had no idea what I was doing. I was just winging it and using that smudge tool like crazy. I had a hard time getting shadows and textures correct, but that's a mix of inexperience with drawing and digital work combined. Guiltily, I also found that I use the smudge tool a lot in this project, which I've heard it's not a good habit to form. I'm not quite sure why that is, but for now, that tool works for me. And although learning all these new skills was a little bit frustrating, it also felt quite good to be so immersed in a project. I'll have to admit, this project came out kind of meh. There's still tons of room for improvement, but I'm happy that I learned quite a lot with this project. Honestly, I am quite proud of myself for one thing, and that's finishing this project. I used to always start a portrait, get all the way to the line art, and become so intimidated by coloring that I would never get any further than that. So to finally complete a portrait lets me know that there's hope to improving my creative self. And hopefully I will kick myself to draw more portraits and improve my drawing skills, and I hope you guys will look forward to it too. In short, completing this project digitally required a steep learning curve for me. I did get frustrated and discouraged a few times, but I enjoyed the process overall. I do want to keep trying out traditional mediums, but I think digital art will be helpful with improving drawing skills in general, just because there's so many more tools that make the process feel much quicker and it's faster to learn and finish projects. Eventually, I'll take those skills back to paper and I'll be able to use my supplies more effectively. Cause let's face it, physical art supplies are quite pricey. But I hope you guys learned something new with me. As always, wishing you happiness and health, and I'll see you in the next video.